Welcome to Rivonomics. I am Salahuddin. Take a nice look because today we are climbing, not climbing a career ladder, not climbing a social hierarchy. We are climbing altitude, and altitude changes everything. When you're standing inside a river, all you feel is the current. When you climb above the river, when you gain height, you suddenly see where it comes from, where it bends, where it floods, and where it disappears into the sea. That difference between being inside and seeing from above is the entire reason Rivonomics exists. If you have been following along through the macro-micro journey so far, this is the moment where things start clicking into one coherent picture. This is where the macro lens finally gives you a panoramic view of the entire money river system all at once. And yes, we are doing this metaphorically, very intentionally, because most of the systems that shape our lives, money, finance, economics, law, technology, are explained using technical language that assures and behaves as if you already belong to the system. But most people don't belong to the system. It's not that people are unintelligent, it's that complex systems are explained in a dialect most humans never learned, never got exposed to, and surely are naturally not familiar with it. So instead of forcing you to memorize jargon, Rivonomics does something very different. It stacks the unknown on top of the already known. That's what a metaphor really is. A metaphor isn't decoration, it's a cognitive bridge. It says, you already understand this, so let's use it to understand that. And that's why the river. Not because rivers are poetic, but because rivers are structurally accurate. Here is the big idea. The monetary world not only just looks like a river, it behaves sufficiently like one. A river flows, it accumulates, it splits, it pools, it floods, it drains, it dries up, it carries things downstream, sometimes intentionally, sometimes haphazardly. And here's where it gets interesting. The language of finance already borrowed heavily from the language of river system, whether we have noticed this or not. Think about it. Currency, cash flow, cash flood, financial channel, income streams, income source, bank or bankruptcy, liquid assets, capital drain, liquidity pool, money circulation, economic waves, financial outlets, monetary reserves, business tide, retail, factory or banking outlet, cost sink, even taxation, levy. This isn't coincidence, this is pattern. The glossary of finance mirrors the glossary of rivers because both describe moving systems governed by structure, pressure and direction. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. The Rivonomics framework is a metaphor, not a trick, not a simplification, a master frame. It treats the entire financial ecosystem, money, markets, labor, business, wealth, not as disconnected topics, but as one integrated river system with multiple regions, layers, and conditions. At the river's source, we have income generation, such as streams of effort, skills, labor, services. Along the river banks, we have institutions such as banks, corporations, government, regulators. In the river channels, you have cash flow pathways, how money moves, where it is allowed to go, where it is blocked, where it is redirected. In the pools, you have liquidity, money sitting still, waiting. In the floods, we have booms, sudden surges of capital. In the droughts, you have recessions, scarcity, dry beds. And far downstream, where the river widens, deepens and slows, you reach wealth accumulation and scaling. That's the delta. That's where rivers stop rushing and start owning territory. Now here's the critical distinction. Most people experience money at river level. They feel the cold water, they struggle against the current, they focus on staying upright. That's micro living. Micro thinking is reactive, immediate, emotional, surface level. But the macro lens lifts you above the river. From altitude, you don't ask, why am I struggling today? You ask, where is this current coming from? You don't ask, why did this expense hit me? You ask, why does money flow this way in this system? Macro vision doesn't give you more effort, it gives you orientation. And orientation always comes just before mastery. Here's another plain, open truth. Most people don't fail financially because they lack discipline. They fail because they never saw the money system clearly enough to navigate it. Technical language blocks understanding. Metaphors unlock it because the human brain learns by recognition, not memorization. When you recognize a structure, a river, a flow, a channel, your mind says, "Oh, I know this, I have seen this before, only just not in this context." That moment is everything. That is when confusion gives way to clarity. That is when abstract finance becomes understood and usable knowledge. Money is not a thing, it is a system. This is the most important shift which Rivonomics introduces. Money is not an object. It is not paper, it is not numbers. Money is movement inside a system, and systems don't reward effort equally. They reward alignment. You don't fight a river to cross it. You study it. You find the shallow point. You wait for the right season. The macro lens doesn't only promise you riches, it also promises you not getting blind. And blindness in a world driven by complex systems is the most expensive mistake a human can make. Rivonomics is not about quick wins. It is not about hacks. It is about learning to see. To see where money originates, how it travels, where it accelerates, where it stagnates, where it compounds. It's about understanding the entire money river ecosystem as one living structure with rules, patterns, incentives, and pressure points. Once you see the river as a whole, you stop drowning in it and you start navigating it. Here is the quiet but powerful takeaway. You were never meant to memorize finance. You were meant to understand system flow. You were never meant to fight money. You were meant to read its terrain or territory. And the moment you gain macro altitude, the moment you step back far enough to see the whole river, money stops being complex and confusing. It becomes structured, patterned, knowable. And once something is knowable, it becomes navigable. That is Rivonomics, not teaching you to swim harder, but showing you where in the money river the cash actually flows. And remember, you don't master money by handling it up close. You control it by masterminding it from afar. I am Salahuddin, this is Rivonomics, and you are awakening.